We are back here on the GSMC Chip Shot Football Podcast to continue talking about all things head coach. And we make a stop in Dallas, Texas to talk about Deion Sanders and his connections once again to the Dallas head coaching position. Because after yesterday's news that the Cowboys and their former head coach now, Mike McCarthy, decided to part ways, it didn't take very long for the news to fly about a new head coach, right? A name that we've heard before in Deion Sanders, but there's been some major developments now surrounding Deion and his connections to the Dallas Cowboys, right? Reports came first from Jordan Schultz of Fox Sports, then followed up by ESPN and NFL media late last night that Jerry Jones and Deion Sanders had already talked about the Cowboys' vacant head coaching position. And this is after, Deion Sanders' second and much improved season at Colorado, right? He finished the first season 4-8, but he just finished his second season at 9-3. And, that's very impressive. That's got everybody jacked up on how, not only Colorado could perform and how well the job Deion's doing to completely shake up that entire program and organization over there in Colorado. And he's doing very well for himself, kind of starting off, moving on from Jackson State and then coming over here and playing some, big-time college football in some of these games. It's going pretty well for him, right? He's developing very well. But there's already, those connections with his son, Shador, and also Shiloh, his other son, moving on to the NFL and how that could affect Deion. Is he going to follow them over to the NFL? Is he going to try and be their head coach going into the NFL? And, that's a whole other discussion about potential problems and things like that could cause. But it looked like from what Deion was saying before that he was just going to stay in Colorado. He hasn't been shy about, praising what he's doing there, what they're doing there, I should say, as a partnership. And it seems like he's very excited about being there. And he's still currently going to be entering the third year of a 5-year, $29.5 million contract that he signed back in December in 2022. So he's pretty much in the thick of this deal still. So any type of other option that he wants to kind of pursue in college or in the NFL, if he wants, a job in the NFL, which is where we enter now with this discussion, there is an $8 million buyout clause for any NFL or college team that wants to hire him in his current contract. So that's where, we enter now into this realm of the Dallas Cowboys, right? Because before, going back to last week, with the back and forth, indecisiveness, I guess you could say, of Jerry Jones and him in one breath saying that he wouldn't want anybody to be part of the Dallas Cowboys that really doesn't want to be there, kind of suggesting that if Mike McCarthy didn't want to be there, that he would have no problem with, having him venture and explore other opportunities, right, if he wanted to do that. But by saying that and kind of connecting it to how he released Ezekiel Elliott, and now Zeke was with the Chargers now that they've gone home, but he related it to that, right? Allowing players, personnel, to venture into other opportunities, right? If they feel that they want to do that. But while saying that, in the same breath, his actions showed the complete opposite of that by denying the Chicago Bears' request of interviewing Mike McCarthy for their head coaching position, while technically it was last week that Mike McCarthy's contract ran out, but the Cowboys still had negotiating rights over him until, I believe, today or yesterday. And I just thought that, one, that was very, indecisive of them, hypocritical of them to kind of do that, right? It didn't look great, but I just felt that also that they wanted to get together one last time and kind of hash things out. And that didn't work out, obviously. So right away, we get to this news about Deion and the Dallas Cowboys and how this has been brought up before, obviously, of why it would be a good why it would be a good scenario for the Cowboys to bring in someone like Deion. And, everything like that that's been said before about how, Deion knows Jerry. He's the kind of personality that could kind of get to him and get him to rationalize in a way, whereas other head coaches haven't been able to do that. Everyone's just been answering to Jerry Jones, and that seems to be like the main argument for having Deion there. But there's that $8 million buyout clause that has to be the first thing that's hashed out if this was ever going to be a legitimate thing that would be happening. But there's also the idea that Deion is very happy in Colorado, right? He doesn't have to make the move, and he's always said that, or actually he said a couple weeks ago when we brought it up in relation to the Las Vegas Raiders, how Deion said something along the lines of he would only really consider an opportunity like this in the NFL if it was to coach both of his sons, and neither one of them is probably going to get drafted by Dallas, or at least Shador's definitely not. They're not in the position to really draft him. And it's not only that, but right after, all the news came out about Deion and Jerry Jones having this conversation, right away, Deion communicated it to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the following, sort of statement about their conversation. And he said, "To hear from Jerry Jones is truly delightful, and it's intriguing. I love Jerry, and I believe in Jerry. After you hang up and process it and think about it, it's intriguing. But I love Boulder and everything there is about our team, the coaches, our student body, and community." And I think the best thing, the most informative thing I took away from just this brief statement that he made to Adam Schefter was that he said it's intriguing, right? He said it's intriguing twice in this statement, and I think that's all this really is to Deion. I mean, like, the Dallas Cowboys call you for a position like this in their organization. Of course, everyone's going to take a moment to think about it. Even Deion Sanders, right? Obviously. It's a huge just opportunity, right? Just to come out of nowhere. But I think all it is to Deion is just intriguing. Like, you got to think about it and consider it a little bit, but through some more thinking, and I'm sure they're going to probably talk about it a little bit more, I think it's going to come to a place where, and I think Deion's going to be a great coach, I think he's going to stay in Boulder first and foremost, but through a couple more years there, maybe until his contract runs out, I think he's going to be a great head coach anywhere, really, in college if he decides to stay there, or in the NFL if he decides to kind of make that move up. But I just think that right now, the timing of it all and where this team is, and also, how everything in Dallas and for the Cowboys is just kind of under Jerry Jones, I don't think any of that really mixes to where Deion is right now and what the Cowboys have been and are looking to continue to be under Jerry Jones, right? It does make sense for Jerry why he would want someone like Deion Sanders coming in, right? Him and the Dallas Cowboys would be in the news each and every week with Deion and talking about their games and how everything's going, right, and developing. But if, Deion, I just don't think it would be a spot where Deion would be there. And under how everything is currently running in Dallas, where Jerry's talking right after the game, talking every week on his radio show, making all the big decisions when it comes to rosters and free agency and things like that. I think he wants to do that himself, but also Deion's the same kind of person that wants that control over how to build a team, how to build a culture that he wants to be a part of and that he believes can win games. And I just don't see that kind of meshing with Jerry that also wants to be that guy. I think you can't have both of those personalities under one roof, honestly. And if Jerry maybe wants to kind of reconsider and maybe change his ways for Deion in order for him to come in, that would be a epiphany for everybody, right, around the Dallas Cowboys. They've been waiting for something like that. But I don't think it would be a problem then. If Jerry's willing to do that, then I'm sure they could hash things out if he's willing to do that. But I don't really see that happening. And I don't think Deion is in a spot where he's willing to kind of answer anybody else, right? Because he's already in Boulder, in Colorado, where he's the guy that controls everything, their recruiting, how they run things, their game plan, and everything like that. He's building the team that he sees fit to be a great football program overall. And he's fine in Colorado, right? He said it a few times now, right? He doesn't have to take this job like he's not going to have anything else to do. He's got 3 more years in Boulder, Colorado. So I think this is more so of a necessity for the Cowboys at this point. And it is, again, the biggest thing to remember is that I think it's just an intriguing situation that not only have they taken this step, but that they're probably going to continue talking about it. And then I do acknowledge that you don't really know what could ever truly happen, right? Something could change in these conversations that we're never going to know what was actually said. But from the outside looking in, I just don't think, based on the progressions of where we are up until this date, that this is something that could really mature into anything else other than just like an interesting opportunity that was brought to Deion Sanders, right? I just don't think the timings kind of match up. So that ultimately brings the Cowboys back to the older names that have been linked to them. There's Kellen Moore, who obviously has familiarity there. I think they would be interested in just promoting Mike Zimmer. That could be something else that they just kind of settle for. Jason Witten has been mentioned, which is, I don't know, probably the least likely. And Steve Sarkisian is another one. But I don't know. Is he going to really leave like Arch Manning and that program that just went to the to the semifinal of the college football playoffs? Is he going to leave them after that kind of year when he could arguably have a better quarterback coming, just next year? It's probably the wildest of the options. It's probably going to end up being like someone like Kellen Moore or Mike Zimmer at the end of the day. But I mean, if they want to really go bold, I think Steve Sarkisian would be pretty interesting if it is reported that they've gone after him. But overall, I think guys like Deion, Steve Sarkisian, and like the guys out there like Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn, I don't think they would really just match with how things are run in Dallas overall. And they're just going to need someone that's used to working with Jerry Jones. That's why Kellen Moore and Mike Zimmer make the most sense. So all in all, it's probably going to still be a major talking point, obviously, because it's the Cowboys and it's obviously Deion Sanders. But at the end of the day, I just don't think it's going to mature into anything else other than just, a back and forth conversation. So we'll see. I mean, I'm interested to see where it goes from here, if there's any more developments or if it just kind of stalls out over the next coming weeks, really. But with that, we're not going to move too far off of the Dallas Cowboys because I thought it was also interesting what Mike McCarthy, now the former Dallas head coach, what he's going to do now going forward. He's getting some interest from a couple NFL teams already. He has an interview lined up tomorrow, actually, with another NFL team. So we're going to talk about Mike McCarthy and what the future sort of holds for him and what sort of opportunities are out there for him potentially at the start of next season. So we're not going to go too far. We'll be right back after this break.
Looking for your